Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss my initial thoughts now that we can be sure that Rishi Sunak is putting to bed the wrangling over the Northern Ireland Protocol, at least the external wrangling. It remains to be seen how this plays out in Northern Ireland itself, but there is incredibly hopeful news on that as well. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, at the point at which I'm recording this, an announcement hasn't been made, but it is done. There is zero significant resistance in the Conservative Party. It is a done deal now. Whatever else I have said and thought about Rishi Sunak, this could be considered a genuine achievement. If we take a step back and we look at it properly, it shouldn't be. What has happened here is that Sunak has moved the Conservative Party to a position whereby it agrees to comply with the withdrawal agreement that they all negotiated, agreed, campaigned for, voted for, and signed into law. That's all that's really happened here. It almost feels like being gaslit to consider it an achievement. After all, seen from one point of view, all this is Conservative Party agrees to do what the Conservative Party promised to do. But the party isn't a hive mind. For over 6 years now, it has been run on the whims of a minority of fanatics. Now, for the first time in a very long time, the Conservatives have adopted a Brexit policy which is pragmatic rather than ideological. And they've done so seemingly without having to have a civil war first. I spoke this weekend about how some of the more senior members of the ERG in government were falling into line behind the deal, but that Steve Baker was reported to be on resignation watch. Now, he was seen to go into 10 Downing Street yesterday. What was that about? Today, he spoke to reporters and gave his full backing to the deal. This is both good news and suspicious. It is good news because Sunak has beaten the ERG, or at least given the impression. Steve Baker was one of a group who has publicly admitted that he backed the original withdrawal agreement because Johnson promised to tear it up later. Yes, the practical implementation that Sunak has agreed is a good one. It does greatly reduce the number of checks which need to apply to goods passing from Britain to Northern Ireland. But it is still the protocol. Not one line of the Northern Ireland Protocol has been rewritten. Some hardline unionists won't accept it because it means EU law applying in Northern Ireland to an extent, albeit with a few fudges to cover them up a bit. Of course, the only unionist group whose approval matters to Sunak is the DUP. If they approve of it, great. If they don't, well, the onus is on them to do something. Sunak is not going to be personally damaged by the failure to restore power sharing. And it's clear that even the ERG can see that. Last week, some of them were hiding behind the DUP, suggesting that their support for the deal was tied to DUP approval. Well, that's gone now. The DUP haven't approved. There may be a small number of ERG who are chuntering, most notably Penfold and Lord Snooty, but the majority of them are behind this, with Steve Baker himself getting behind it and not appearing to be reluctant about it either. That is huge. That being said, I'm hearing that there is every likelihood that the DUP are going to support this deal. It's all very, if this happens and if that happens. But, there's a lot coming out suggesting the DUP are going to get behind this. Again, are they accepting it because it's the best deal they're going to get? Or are there other factors at play here hidden from public view? Although it is the ERG support which makes me the most suspicious. It can see the DUP. You can see the DUP coming to a pragmatic decision to support the agreement. Sunak has improved the protocol in practical terms. But the ERG are not concerned about practical matters in Northern Ireland, only ideological. Yet they have given full support to the deal. They could have been more non-committal. Accepting it, it's a good compromise, it's done quite well. It's not quite got everything we would like, but it's not bad. Under the difficult circumstances, that would allow them to be almost neutral on the agreement. Not fully getting behind it, but also not cause any splits in the party over it. but they have described it as a really very good deal. Now, while the ERG supported Johnson's withdrawal agreement in the first place, including the protocol, that was because Johnson privately promised them he'd be tearing it up later. They then gave the withdrawal agreement their enthusiastic support. They are now giving their enthusiastic support for Sunak's practical implementation agreement. Has he promised them something underhand? Or has he actually just blindsided them and they accept that the protocol is no longer a battle worth fighting anymore? Time will tell. But I am suspicious. Now, beyond the detail of the agreement and the fact that Sunak has got his party behind it, which is remarkable if we'd have tried to say that a few weeks ago, it's worth reflecting on the bigger picture. So, back a month ago, roughly, Rishi Sunak moved his government to explicitly make clear that we should be working with the EU on various policies of common interest. I said at the time, this is the end of the hard Brexit. The Brexit that said that we should have nothing to do with the EU on any matter. From a purely ideological point of view, nothing to do with them. You know, we should do everything on our own, even if we ended up doing it in the same way as the EU, just for more money and less benefit. The hard Brexit, as of a few weeks ago, is officially over. But not in a way that would be clear to the public. You know, this protocol settlement also doesn't make anything clear to the public. Most people outside Northern Ireland don't really know what it's all about. Yeah, it seems it's on the front pages of the newspapers. But most people look at it, oh, it's something to do with Brexit. Oh, the government are agreeing something to do with Brexit. They don't know what it is. But it will open the door. As a result of this agreement, more agreements will follow. 2023 is going to be the year when the public see that even the party of Brexit has changed direction. You know, it's abandoned its previous red lines. I don't see any credible way in which this does not now happen. The hard Brexit's dying. You know, it wouldn't surprise if there is to be an announcement. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, there is an announcement. I'm told that MPs may get a vote on it, but not yet. Rishi Sunak is saying, oh, he wants his MPs to have a chance to read it first. Okay, fine. And we may not get the approval from the DUP just yet. Again, all of this may take a few days. But you can see, for example, UK rejoining Horizon, as long as it's all sorted, potentially by the end of the week, or the announcement coming by the end of the week. You know, the hard Brexit is dying here. All that's going to be left to discuss after this year, I think, is how quickly and how much we soften Brexit over the next few years. I said quite a while ago, there's no path back to the EU without the Conservatives getting on board. This is because the EU will not entertain any negotiations with Labour that the Conservatives do not support. Because, of course, the negotiations would always be one election away from being thrown into the fire when the Conservatives come back into power. Pointless waste of time unless it's politically settled. Some people thought absolutely hopeless then, because the Tories will never support rejoining or even a much softer Brexit. But it was only a relatively small group of political saboteurs who made them back Brexit at all. They took advantage of the fact the majority of them were just weak or too afraid of what would happen if their party split. They are now adopting a much softer approach to Brexit. They've still got some way to go, as does the wider voting public, but they're now going in the right direction. It'll be some time before the Conservatives can support something as major as rejoining the EU or even the single market or customs union, because they have explicitly insisted upon pulling us out of them. Adopting these policies has to include admitting that they got it wrong originally, or the people in charge of the Conservative Party at the time got it wrong originally. You know, we're a long way off that. But any policy short of those specific policies of out of the EU, single market and customs union, anything short of that is up for grabs. The Tories have never been clear about what their roadmap for Brexit is. So it's not a difficult sell to change policy, even, you know, with a complete about face, because the public aren't paying attention to the details anyway. You know, even this protocol agreement doesn't have to look like a reversal of Brexit policy to the general public. It is. It's a huge turnaround. But to the general public, what is it? It's just the culmination of years of negotiation. You know, it's like it was always leading towards this as far as the public's concerned. But it now opens the door for more useful negotiations, conducted in better faith, and for more agreements to come, starting with Horizon. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.